Ladies and gentlemen, we got it. So after a year of applying, of searching, of getting rejected, of getting rejected some more, failing some more, I finally just got my official offer, which I've since signed and sent back. So I'm in for my full-time chemical engineering job. So I graduated last April with a double major in chemical engineering and computing tech from the University of Ottawa. And since last April there, I've applied for probably hundreds of jobs all over Canada, all of which I was rejected for, except for this one, and I just got it. So I'm just waiting on my security clearance right now. Should take another 6 to 8 weeks here. I got hired at a nuclear research and technology company, and I will be starting as a equipment reliability specialist. So basically just optimizing, streamlining, creating maintenance processes for the plant. So this process has been ongoing since November. So this just shows you when you do have a lead, you have to exploit it, you have to hound it, you have to go after it, okay? So as I said, I applied to all these different positions, and it shows that like your resume, like it doesn't really mean shit. Like it, at this point when you are a new grad, okay, you have pretty much the same kind of level of experience as everybody else, which is nothing. You have a degree, but so does everyone else. So just getting a job just based solely off your major is going to be very, very difficult. Networking, connections, all that. Like I know that was kind of like hounded into me in uni a bit, where they're like, oh yeah, like networking is important, but like you can't network. I mean, you can, but like networking with people who are in the kind of same position as you doesn't really get you too many advantages. Like it's obviously good to network with your peers and everything like that, but it's like when none of you guys have jobs and you're networking with people that are also looking for jobs, like it's not really going to necessarily lead to a job right now. It might be good that one of them gets hired, you know, and maybe they're there and then they can put in a good word and get you there. But for the most part, the kind of connects you're going to want to have is somebody who's already established in the field. Nepotism. If you don't have the luxury of that, of having, you know, a family friend or a family member or, you know, some older friend that you have all already established for a company, it's not really going to help too much. So you're going to have to kind of find your own face-to-face meetups, right? And this is kind of going around that problem of the resume. So basically for me, I found that this company had posted a hiring fair. So I was like, well, that tells me a couple things. First of all, it tells me they're at least hiring, which is huge, because like a bunch of places you might, you know, put your resume into their hiring pool. They might not even be hiring. They could post a position, but it might just be that one position. They might already have someone internally in the company that's lined up, but they just kind of have to post it because they have to. So you're applying for a position that's pretty much already filled. At least if a company is having a hiring fair, it means they're hiring positions and they're probably hiring a decent amount, or they wouldn't take the time, or they probably wouldn't take the time to set up this whole kind of hiring fair. So this company back in mid-November was having a hiring fair. I went there, and this is great because obviously you'll have your resume in hand, but it allows you to kind of negate that whole resume issue and really just have a face-to-face, and there's some personality shared there. There's an opportunity for you to sell yourself, basically. So that's what I did. Went there, talked to this gentleman, super nice guy. Talked to him, basically said, hey, I'm looking for work. And then he was able to kind of like gauge my hunger as well. It's like, it's good for me to kind of show myself, and then it's good for him to see like, oh, is this someone who's like interested, or is it just someone who's like, you know, dropping off a resume, who's like, call me, but you know, he can tell there's really like nothing there. So we talked. He recommended this other dude. He said it would probably be about a month. Although it was tough, I waited that month, waited to see if I heard back from the second guy. I didn't, so I followed up with the first guy. The first guy said, I passed on your resume, give him another, you know, whatever, month. I did. Didn't hear anything back. Followed up with the second guy, didn't hear anything. That's fine. Again, like, you know, maybe he, like, nothing in life is guaranteed to you. Like, the universe and the world doesn't owe you anything. So even like, if you think, oh, this position could have been sick, it's like, well, if he wasn't reaching out to you, like if he wanted to hire you, he would have reached out. He didn't. That's okay. Nothing personal. So I went back to the first guy, was like, hey, you know, nothing happened with the second guy. Are you still looking for anyone in your department or anything? Like, I'm still here. I'm still hungry. I still want some foot in the door in this company. He recommended this one position, equipment reliability specialist. I applied, had an interview with a panel of engineers. This guy who I originally talked to being the senior guy of the panel. As he explained, basically the interview was done on a point system. So he said, basically they asked a bunch of like situational based questions, then they mark it based on points. Whichever candidate at the end has the most points gets the job. So it's a very objective way. And yeah, worked out well, I got it. So some takeaways from that story. First of all, look for career fairs. As I said, the whole resume thing, if your resume is obviously stacked, if you have someone who you know in the company on there, if you have some experience that's gonna put you ahead of other candidates, sure. Like obviously people do get jobs based off resumes. For someone just starting out whose resume is not gonna impress the hiring manager, it's gonna be pretty tough. So look for hiring fairs. That's where, you know, your personality can be displayed. They can at least see like, oh, this guy, you know, he sounds humble, he's professional, he's well put together, he's clean shaven, he's presentable, like all these things that they can automatically just kind of check off, that they wouldn't get from a resume. If you just show up and you're polite and you seem interested and you seem smart and just all these like just kind of characteristics that you can show just by you existing, essentially. That's the first thing. Second thing, exploit opportunities, exploit leads. Like again, the only lead I had was this guy who seemed to like me enough for him to hold on to my resume and say, I'm gonna talk to so-and-so. That's it. Like that's all I had to go on. But that was more than I got from anybody else, which was nothing, which wasn't even boo. So I was like, okay, this is all I have. Let me make sure this doesn't fall through the cracks here. I had to follow up with him a couple times. And another thing there is it showed the ability to follow basic instructions as well. Even though like I wanted it to happen right away, when he was like, okay, wait a month, you know, give me time to like reach out to so-and-so, I did. And then he said, wait another couple weeks for this, I did. And then I would always reach out. Last time too, I sent up an email, I didn't hear anything back, and then I just called him after that. So that kind of ability to follow instructions and ability to follow up is another couple soft skills. Again, it's nothing crazy, but it's just like anything at all that you can do to set yourself ahead of everyone else. So when it did come time for that application, obviously we're all still starting at zero, like me and whatever other candidates, but at least I had the tiniest bit of leg up because he knew me already. We had the tiniest bit of rapport there. Now, in terms of resume, as I said, there's not too much you can do. Like, you obviously can't invent experience, but if you have absolutely nothing and you're new grad, I would definitely lean more heavily towards whatever kind of major projects that you did and led during uni. So obviously your work experience is not going to be in the field if you don't have any. So obviously mention that, but gear that towards engineering soft skills. So saying, hey, I learned, or organization, time management, project management, this and that from like your part-time, full-time jobs, whatever. But for the bulk of your resume, it should focus on whatever kind of projects that you did in uni that you either did a sizable chunk of, or you led them, or you just contributed to enough that it shows those projects have taught you engineering hard skills that will then help you for your later jobs. So for me, I focused on my engineering plant design project when me and my group, we designed a chloromethane plant. So that was huge because that was our capstone project. So that was the embodiment of chemical engineering. Like every single thing we did in our 4 years of uni led up to that project. So I talked about that on my resume. And then I also talked about this Java process simulation project where we had to design a PID controller. So that would be my advice for how to set up your resume as a new grad. So basically takeaways: find career fairs, make yourself presentable, show up, talk to someone, develop a rapport, and if you get any kind of lead, follow up. Ask if they have any positions in their department or anybody they know who's looking. Ask about the job, ask about what job they would recommend you apply for, so you know they're not setting you up for failure type of thing. They're gonna get you to apply for something that's at least in your caliber, and you will go from there. And then in terms of preparing for interviews, because it is kind of like entry level, it might be technical, but more often than not it won't. It'll be more kind of like situational based. So go on Google, try and find a list of kind of questions, talk with peers. If you do know someone who has worked for that company, try and get in contact with them. Maybe it's an old classmate that you can find on LinkedIn or something. Message them and kind of ask them how their interview process was. Mine personally was like an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, I think it ended up being. But it was good though. And then obviously prepare. So like I studied, I had a list of all these questions that I thought might be asked and wrote down answers for them and everything. And a lot of those questions didn't end up being asked, but a lot of kind of similar ones did. And it also just kind of got me again in the headspace of thinking about my like past projects and everything. Most times, I'm sure most of you guys are in the same position where it's been a while. It's been a while since I did those projects. It's been a year now since I was in university. So just kind of going through memory lane here and thinking about, oh yeah, I did this project, and oh yeah, there was this struggle and this conflict and this and that, this happened. At least if you're remembering all that before the interview even starts, when the interviewers start to ask you questions, you're like, oh, like tell us a story about XYZ, and then you remember, oh yeah, this and that, and then you're ready for it. So next steps for me here. So right now I'm living alone here in my apartment. So I have since given this guy up, and end of April I'll be out. This job won't start until mid-May, maybe even beginning of June, depending on when my clearance comes in. So I've given him my 2 weeks to Canadian Tire here. I appreciate them. I appreciate management there. It has been a good run, but it is time to move on. And I will be going out west for one final hurrah, one final kick of the can to plant some more trees here. So I've got a flight booked for April 16th. Hop a flight, go out west, pound in trees for a month, make some money, have my apartment all packed up before then in my family's house there. And then once I get back, I'll wait until my clearance comes in, hop a flight back, get my stuff, move there, and then come mid-May, beginning of June, I will start my new job. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for following along here. I posted a video a while back, the struggles of finding a new job as a engineering grad or something along those lines. That video did pretty well. So this is the kind of part 2 of that, where there is hope. There is absolutely hope. You can do it. It's tough. It's brutal out here. If you didn't graduate from a super name brand school, if you didn't have any co-ops, if you don't know anyone in the field, like all these things kind of going up against you, you know, there is still a way. And again, it really just takes that one opportunity. Like, out of all of those applications, I got one interview, and then that one is the one you dial in for. You prepare, and you show up. And again, like I could have given a really good interview and not gotten it if there was another candidate who did better. In this case, thankfully, it didn't happen. But if it was, I would still be looking. Thankfully, I'm not. So yeah, if you guys are in a similar situation, try and use all these tips the best you can. And I genuinely wish you the best of luck, because it's tough. It's tough. But when you finally get it, it's so rewarding. So with that being said, my name is Chris Keown. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.